Like he actually like wrapped his car as a kid around a tree one time. Like, and there's like, it was in the paper. You can see it in the making of this movie. Whereas that car looks like nobody should have crawled out of there, you know? And yeah, he did. And he made this movie.
Well,
thank you.
Nobody should have Paul walked out of that car.
Oh
He
my
did,
God.
Jesus. Okay.
What?
What?
Damn it.
Remix. Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Confused Breakfast Podcast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
Totally.
It sure is hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch. But there was something truly special about grabbing your special gal, leaving the hop to go rent a movie, and watching it when you got home. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era, see if they still move us the way they did as kids. I'm your host, Mike Schulte. Joining me, as always, two dudes as harmless as baby kittens. Shaun Pryor and AJ Vance, how the heck are you?
Wouldn't hurt a fly.
Consider me a ready teddy, baby. That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
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 Why don't you ditch the losers?
Vroom, vroom.
Oh, wrong movie. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Shit.
No.
No.
Check you later.
Check you later. Wait, guys, stop.
I just joined the Pharaohs. I don't know if you guys knew that.
You did?
Or not, but I did the blood ritual. Blood initiation.
So you'll tell us
and
all about how that
Yeah.
went and like what the thing was all about.
I'll give you my review of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Wow,
I like it,
nice.
man.
I like that.
It's nice.
Sounds good.
I feel good.
Rock and roll.
Well, boys, on today's episode, we discuss a movie nominated for 5 Oscars. One of the most profitable movies of all time. A movie that perhaps was a direct inspiration for Happy Days in the Fonz. The last and final movie in our summer of 70s. We hardly knew ye. We're, of course, talking about 1973's American Graffiti.
Well, dang it.
American
Ladies
Psycho.
and gentlemen, it's time for another nostalgic journey to the past with the Confused Breakfast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy wherever you are in the world. Take it away, boys.
Well, if you are new to this podcast, we're going to be reviewing American Graffiti scene by scene with a modern eye. But in order to do that properly, we got to talk about it with pure nostalgia. My friends, this was my choice.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to start us off on this, right? So we all got to pick one of our movies, and this movie was a pretty big deal to me because it was one of my dad's favorite movies. He had the vinyl. We'll talk a lot about the soundtrack later, but it's a double vinyl. It opens up. It's got Buddha on roller skates.
Oh, nice.
Like a very quintessential. And I just remember being drawn to that and just being like, man, this album's awesome. The cars. I didn't necessarily understand the undertones of this movie, but I enjoyed watching it because it was just like, it was interesting. They were interesting characters and a race at the end. And oh my God, it's so cool. And I can't wait till I get to hike school.
Hike school?
You know what I mean? So for me, I'm going to 7.5 on this, fellas, and I'm glad we
Damn.
finally get to do this. Shaun, I'm going to go to you.
Okay.
It was very important to me to get this one on our list because I've always thought you loved this movie or would love this movie. Have you ever seen it?
I have seen the first 10 minutes of this so many times. And that's it.
That's it.
So I'm gonna give it an NA because I don't remember a single damn frame other than the first 10 minutes from this movie. Yeah, I don't know. It was always there. Obviously, it was always like I've always seen the title and like the box at the rental store. Just never really pulled the trigger and sat down to do it until now.
See, look at that's why we do this show.
I love it. Yeah.
I want to say I've seen this movie, but I think I'm just going to be more comfortable giving it an NA because it was one that my mom always wanted to watch. It fell in line with like Grease,
It's
Happy Days, like these shows that, you know, like the shows, the movies, like all those things that it just felt like that's what it was. And I know my mom really loved the movie, that kind of stuff, but I can only remember bits and pieces, so I'm gonna have to give it an NA as well.
Well, that's understandable. We got an executive producer today. Our boy Bud Larsen is joining us for this. He says, I have never seen this movie.
Whoa.
Just from watching the trailer, it looks like 2 of the other teen comedy movies I've reviewed, Fast Times at Ridgemont High and American Pie, only in a different decade. Like I've said before, if it's anything like any other high school movie, it's about drugs, sex, and hanging with friends, and this one has fast cars. So you guys, I'm the only one that did this. It's a bit of an I've never seen.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I wonder if our audience is kind of like this too, because this is a very well-known movie. This is a movie many would say you need to see. It's on that list, but I wonder if people have pulled the trigger. So
I don't know.
That's why we do this, right?
That's why we're here, baby.
All right. Well, then we got to move on. We got to go modern eye here at this point. So we got to talk pertinent, important details of the movie. Shaun, what do you got on this one, man?
Produced by Sid Sheinberg, Gary Kurtz, and Francis Ford Coppola. Written by George Lucas, Willard Heck. I think it's Heck.
I think it's Heck.
I think it's Heck. And Gloria Katz. Cinematography by Jan de Elquin and Ron Alvisage. Edited by Marcia Lucas, which is George Lucas's wife, and Verna Fields, who edited Jaws and is a huge, prolific editor in the game. R.I.P., I believe.
Well.
Directed by George Lucas. Cast.
Everybody dies.
Cannot confirm.
You know, they do. They really do. Cast: Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Howard, Paul Lamette, Charles Martin Smith, Sidney Williams, Candy Clark, and Harrison Ford. After the success of George Lucas's film THX 1138, the filmmaker was looking for his next project. Friend and producer Francis Ford Coppola challenged Lucas to make something heartfelt or nostalgic. As a teenager, Lucas was very fond of cruising culture, which was basically driving around town looking to get laid. Basing his script around this concept, Lucas brought on co-writers Willard Heck and Gloria Katz, who were also very fond of the concept. Taking the script to just about every major studio in town, Lucas eventually offered it to United Artists. They hated it. They said, there's no plot, it's just people driving around and listening to music. Feeling a bit torn up about the rejection, Lucas did another rewrite of the script and would thankfully find Universal Studios was willing to make the film. Universal, however, wanted Lucas to find a big name to attach to the film. Being mostly a teenager-based story, Lucas was at a loss. So he asked his friend, who was just coming off The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola, to produce. Lucas saw almost 1,000 teenagers to cast the film and employed the help of Fred Roos, a casting director who casted The Godfather, and Andy Griffith. Interviewing Ron Howard, Lucas knew he was best for the part of Steve. Richard Dreyfuss came in to audition and was hired on the spot. Paul Lamette was a boxer wanting to become an actor. Terry was the hardest part to cast, but the crew eventually found Charles Martin Smith. Harrison Ford had all but quit acting and was focusing on carpentry at the time until he was convinced to do the film. Principal photography began on June 26, 1972, and was hoping to be shot in San Rafael, but the town refused to allow the crew to shoot there last minute, so the shoot was moved to Petaluma, California. Filming went with relative ease, but was fraught with its own problems. Most of the central cast were drunk most nights. They were filming. Paul Lamette had an allergic reaction to walnuts and went to the hospital. Lamette threw Dreyfuss into a pool, and Dreyfuss hit his head in the shallow end, giving him a bump right before he was due to do close-ups for the film. One actor set fire to Lucas's hotel room, and some of the crew were almost killed during the climactic race scene. It was basically a bunch of kids fucking around, just making a movie.
Make a movie. It's a school project.
Exactly.
You know?
They're all staying in the same hotel
Love
room.
it.
That's not confirmed nor denied who lit Lucas's room on fire, but legend has it that Paul Lamette and Harrison Ford were the most rambunctious of the two. And I think Paul Lamette has passed away now, so it only leaves one.
So Harrison Ford, Paul Lamette, and the guy, I wish I could remember his real name, the guy that plays the leader of the Pharaohs.
Yeah,
they were
Bo Hopkins.
Bo
Dude,
Hopkins.
they were like, stay away from him. Like the three of them were like, ha ha ha. Like it was nuts. Apparently there was like a sign, like a huge sign outside the Holiday Inn that they would climb every night and just drink and throw stuff off. And but the weird thing is that they filmed the majority of this movie at night.
Yeah.
So like they would wrap at like 6 a.m, which is when they would start partying.
I mean, yeah, they'd have time to just recover the next day until it was night and they had to be back on set, you know? I mean,
oh, my God.
Just having fun, man. It looks like it, too.
Kids being kids.
Yeah.
At first, the studio hated American Graffiti and was considering releasing it as a TV movie. Believing in the project, producer Coppola said he would buy back the film from Universal and release it himself. After The Godfather came out, however, and won every Oscar known to man, the studio relented, and on August 11th, 1973, American Graffiti was released. On a budget of $777,000, the film would go on to make $140 million at the box office and would be nominated for 5 Academy Awards, as Mike said, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Screenplay. Goodbye.
That alone qualifies it for being one of the most profitable movies. I mean, there's movies that have made way more money than that, but they've also spent more money than that. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that story about Francis Ford Coppola, who basically coming off of Godfather, and he just probably just has in this insane amount of new fuck you money, and he's just like, you don't want it, I'll fucking take it, and I will make this movie, and you will regret it. And I love that. That's basically how this got pushed through.
You could say nepotism. You could maybe say that about it, but you go ahead and say it.
Nepotism.
Like George Lucas and him are good friends. All that crew, that core crew, like Spielberg and all of them were all huge friends, and they all support each other. But you need that, I think, in anything that you do. And then also, Francis Ford Coppola just liked it and believed in it. And I like that about it a lot.
I do want to push back on one thing, or maybe ask you what you think about this. I heard that THX 1138 was a flop.
I don't know.
I've never seen it. It was George Lucas's first film. It was very
I've seen it. I've seen it once.
Like sci-fi.
It's definitely really weird.
Okay,
it's really weird.
I heard that it was a total flop, and that he needed to he went to the well to be like, I got to make something that people can relate to.
Something accessible.
Yeah, because that was the opposite of accessible, apparently. Yeah. So that I don't know. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's not wrong.
It's
but
the total opposite of this movie. It's almost like David Lynch made it. It's so weird.
Did you catch the license plate on
Yes.
it? Yeah, there you go.
I like it. But they couldn't fit the 1138, so it was 138.
They could have done it.
Come on.
Come on.
Get the personalized plate, fucking John. Yeah. Well, up next, we got to go to AJ. He does the research for us. He does the ratings and reviews from critics and fans alike. What you got, man?
That Bob Falfa's too crazy, man. He's going to leave a lot of red on the road. We got the tomato meter. Gross. 96%.
He's fast, but he's an idiot.
You're darn tootin'.
96%? The guys, of any movie we've done, that is number 8.
Jeez.
Of any movie we've done, that is tied with Goodfellas.
Wow.
Per the critics.
The fellas of good.
Fellas are good.
Okay.
Really
I
like
wonder
the
where
graffitis.
Schindler's List lands. If American Graffiti is percentage-wise above Schindler's List, that's fucking crazy.
Okay, so we're never going to do Schindler's List on
I
the
hope
show, right?
we don't.
Okay. So then let's just... What did you say this was? 96?
96.
That is a 98.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
You can imagine critics being like, Schindler's List, huh? Well, we'll pop it in and see how it is. It's like, well, how am I supposed to rate this poorly?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
How are we supposed to make fun of that?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think we can. Some movies are going to be off limits. Passion of the Christ,
Yeah.
Schindler's List.
Hey, let's do Passion of Christ. I'll fucking rip that apart. Let's go.
Oh, well, at least Schindler's List is pretty black and white, huh? Oh, okay, never mind.
What the?
84% audiences felt at 84%, but this is going to come in at a 7.4 on IMDb.
Of all the movies we've done, that is 46th position, tied with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Look at that.
Summer of 70s,
Another
baby.
70s,
Can
huh?
you believe it?
Wowzers. Wow.
Wow.
Living in it right now. There isn't a bad critical review out there of this movie, guys.
Really?
Chicago Sun-Times, the one, the only, Rajiv, gave it a 1 out of 1. The whole thing...
Super good.
It's so good. 1 out of 1.
Time out. I actually really like the concept of starting a letterboxed.
Yeah.
But we should start it where it's either 0 or 1.
A 0 or 1.
And you either hate it or you love it.
You can't have a middle ground. You can't have it.
Yeah. No.
I like the idea.
It was me coming into I'm super stoked, being like, well, hold on. What if there's a middle ground?
What if we just talked about movies?
Well, I love the idea of it's 0 or 1, but you can do like a 0.7.
Okay. So what do you give? What do you give American Graffiti? I give it a 0.745.
Basically 7.
It's like I get. Oh, dude, I'll tell you right now. I got to give this movie a 0.8.
We'll get Raiders of the Lost podcast on this, and we'll just join in. We're like, hey, dude, what do you give Inception? I give it a 0.9745.
We're gonna make a
Out
bunch
of
of
1. Wow.
We're gonna make a bunch of money off this? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No.
Advertisers want to come in on this? We're gonna say no. Actually.
Why don't you just do 1 out of 10? That's been done before.
Yeah, it's been done before. We don't do that around here.
Oh, Raj, thank you so much for being a part of this today, giving us that 1 out of 1. He had this to say in a small excerpt from his article. On the surface, Lucas has made a film that seems almost artless. His teenagers cruise Main Street and stop at Mel's Drive-In and listen to Wolfman Jack on the radio and neck and lay rubber and almost convince themselves their moment.
Heavy petting.
Heavy petting.
Roger Ebert should have been in this movie.
I know.
I think he was.
I'm pretty sure he was the curmudgeon in the. Never mind. They almost convince themselves, their moment will last forever. But the film's buried structure shows an innocence in the process of being lost, and as its symbol, Lucas provides the elusive blonde in the white Thunderbird, the vision of beauty always glimpsed at the next intersection, the end of the next street.
Oh. Ooh. Deep. Raj.
Wow. Raj
going in on this.
always out of reach.
Was Raj the first movie podcaster?
I
Yes.
think so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he paved the way for us pretentious assholes.
Also, I want to call our app Y instead of X. We good?
WHY.
Either or.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't matter, honestly.
So we'll keep coming back to this app idea as we go through
Yes.
this episode.
We'll figure it out by the end of this. I think we will. Scott Tobias, he gave this an 83 from the AV Club. He said American Graffiti is an unabashed nostalgia piece, but the poignancy of Lucas holding on to this memory only becomes clear at the end. For these boys, nothing will ever be the same again. 80, last one for the critics here. Empire, not credited. They didn't want the credit, apparently. A funny, serious movie with gorgeous cars and colors and an amazing feel for the artifacts of an instantly vanished era.
Okay.
I do like that,
I do
actually,
like
a lot.
that uses of instantly because
Yeah.
it kind of was.
Instantly vanished, yeah.
Because what this is set in 59 or no, this is set in 62 and like Vietnam's just right around the corner. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's about to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's about to go in.
and that just kind of ended everything.
Yeah, I think that's it's why I really like that one, because before that happened, it's like things were building for kids, for the country, for that sort of thing, and then that war happened, and it was so just stark.
When they said that at the time, because this movie was made in 73, everybody was focusing on that new negative of the world, like the war movies and like that's what was so cool about this is he went back to like it's like the first nostalgia piece, like remember when, I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like exactly like all these kids had hope, and like instantly dash, maybe even a new hope.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh
God.
Wow. Call me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
1 out of 10.
I thought you were going to go for it again. I thought you were going to commit. Peter Griffin.
1 out of 10. I wasted 2 hours of my life in 2015. Jesus. Said Mayhem 5. Worst movie I've ever seen. I mean, I knew about G. Lucas's lack of skill, but this is awful. I like that you called him G. G. Can we get a note more on the set, please? G.
Well, I think you should just stand over there. I don't know.
G.
Yeah.
Never mind. I can only imagine how this man has come to be a movie director by poorly ripping off styles and being so clumsy with the camera. This time, he delivers a slow, pretentious movie that goes nowhere. Within an almost 2-hour-long torture in which the characters are as flat as they could possibly be, Lucas shows us how mediocre filmmaker he is. Missed a syllable in there.
Mediocre speller.
Yeah. He is by not displaying any knowledge about cinematographic language at all. Cinematographic.
That's a word.
Perfect.
Great. a still camera, boring shots, and a soporific story that should have ended before the first 10 minutes. I managed to get to the end of it so I could have a valid opinion. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
But it didn't worth it.
No, it didn't worth it.
Please don't watch it unless you have sleep problems. Favorite line.
I just love it too because it's like, and then they hit enter and they go, aha.
Yes.
Got him.
Wow.
Got him again.
God.
Just wait for the upvotes to come in on this.
Look, unless you got sleep problems, don't even bother.
Ooh, great line.
But if you do, totally watch it.
If you do, might be worth it.
Also, my name's George.
George,
You call me George. You don't call me G.
I think you have the wrong number.
I'm not your G, homie.
Maybe George Lucas talks like that. He's like, "Oh, what's up, G? How we doing there, moneymaker? Come on over here and sit on Papa's lap there."
Or maybe he does.
Yeah, maybe he does. He could pull it. 3 out of 10, guys. I was bored right from the word go. Said Strictly Confidential in 2020. That was a rough time. April 15th, 2020.
Going through it.
We were in the thick of it. Hey, kids, let me tell you something. The only thing that this film's dreary story actually proved to me was to show me just how unbelievably boring it was to be a teen back in that particular era in pop culture history. I think that anyone who offers praise to this major letdown has to be viewing it through the distorted haze of rose-colored glasses. Well, hey, what more can I say? I don't know.
Sit by the bay.
Sit by the bay. Make things out of clay.
What do you say?
I just may.
Just may. All right, last one, guys. This is a positive one. We just keep on cruising right on up, huh? Cruising.
That's fun. That's fun.
10 out of 10. I'm now in my mid-70s and born and raised in Napa, a few miles over the hill from where this was shot. This is Kevin Gardner in 2023.
Perfect.
Warning, spoilers. Yep. Was a great, fun place to grow up and to live in all those years back. Sad part? I'll get into trouble, I bet, for saying this about such a hot-button issue. Nowadays, but honestly, I lived in it exactly that era, at exactly that time, early 60s. All the Napa, Petaluma, and Santa Rosa, San Rafael kids all cruised between all those cities, all along with Vallejo and Concord, and one of the best, because the kids had money, was Walnut Creek.
Did he stutter in his...
Oh, yeah. So there's these dots and period placements.
He's stopping and going, he's having that's where a flashback goes. Because I remember my first road head.
Because, well, Bonnie Clarence, she wasn't an easy gal, but she wasn't not easy, if you know what I mean. And she was tall, A lot of the girls were tall back then because heels were Well, we liked it when they wore the heels.
Anyway, back to another city.
Anyways, Vallejo was another town we would cruise on through because the kids had money. That was Walnut Creek for you. Weekends were always great and always quite the car show too. Now, this cast has no diversity. Too white. It's just the way it was then.
Is that what he said?
Might be getting in trouble for saying this.
I might be getting in trouble for saying this. That's exactly what it was.
That's just the way it was.
I just here's the way I went. This is why I read this review, was because he's like, well, I might get in trouble for saying this. It's a hot button issue, but man, I tell you what, it was a lot like that back then with all the cruising through the cars and all the cities and Vallejo and the Concord and going through and all that stuff. And then he gets to the hot button issue as the last sentence. It just says, it's just the way it was back then.
It's good. He leaves you hanging, man.
Oh, it was a simpler time back then,
Hell of a storyteller.
I was hanging on every single city he said until he got to what he was saying.
He's probably dead now.
Oh no! Well, 2023.
That might have been in his hospital bed, being like, "You guys got the internet on your phone? Kids these days suck, but I'm on Facebook all day."
I like that he definitely was trying to use some hip verbiage because he used an @ sign for @
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
He definitely is the guy that just shares weird. He was the guy that shared like all the weird like stuff on 2020. You know, like just your grandparents just being, I don't know. Did you hear that the Social Security is going away? And if you do,
he got his first smartphone like right about 2020 was happening because he didn't want to be disconnected, obviously, from his other family members, but because he's at high risk. But he's been holding out for so long because he doesn't want a smartphone. He wants a dumb phone. He doesn't need a phone that's smarter than I am.
But now that I got one, I'm really addicted to
and he's discovered Instagram and TikTok, and so now he's asking everybody about this QAnon that's going around. That's him.
He's the guy.
Too much. It's too much for people nowadays.
He's the guy that goes.
He's the guy that
he goes on his Facebook to type on his like grandson's wall, and he goes, "Happy birthday, love, Grandpa."
Love, Grandpa.
Even though it came from him, and he's like, "I got to tell you that it came from me."
They got their grandpa Facebook set up with Facebook, but when they said, "Well, just take a picture and set it as your Facebook profile," so his picture's just.
Dude, every single time.
That's how you know it's a real profile.
Yeah. If his friends are just his family.
and extremely attractive young women who don't exist.
Yes.
Yep. Well, is that all you got, AJ?
Yep. Thanks for writing that down, Kevin Gardner. We got you pinned.
We got you, man. My dudes, in order to get this movie reviewed scene by scene, I'm going to need 3 Musketeers, ballpoint pen, one of those combs there, pint of Old Harper, a couple flashlight batteries, and some beef jerky. Let's go back in time 61 years and see what the kids were up to. Here we go.
Wolfman Jack listens to the platters. Yeah. He drinks Old Harper. You fucking know he does.
So scene 1, on their last evening of summer vacation in 1962, Kurt, Steve, John, and Terry meet in the parking lot of Mel's Drive-In. Steve and Kurt are leaving in the morning to start college, but Kurt is having second thoughts. Steve's girlfriend Lori arrives, and he tells her that he thinks they should see other people while he's away. Can I tell you about my young childhood experience? My brother and I would rewind this intro over and over and over. Him crashing that moped into like a cigarette machine or something like that.
Oh, dude.
Is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I laughed out loud like when I
wonder what kind of movie this is gonna be.
watch. And I'm like watching him roll up on that, and I was like, oh, nice. Well, there's Richie Cunningham. Oh, yeah. Dude, I laughed out loud when that happened.
And it was for real.
I know.
He just really did it. Like, that was like, what, 1 or 2 takes? And he just rolled in. And he's like, his only direction from George, from G. Lucas, was to just let out or just do something funny. You know, just do something wild and funny.
Pull up and maybe the bike falls over or
and
something.
so he's like Charles Smith, I believe. He's just like, I'll just let off the clutch and let it like jerk a little bit, you know, because that's kind of funny.
Oh, no.
And so he let off the clutch and it just got away from him. And he's like holding up, he like gets off it, like about died. And he gets off, he's like, oh. He's like waiting for someone to yell cut and it never comes. Yeah. And so he just like kind of casually walks over to Richard Dreyfuss and does the scene.
That's why I could never be an actor. First of all, I suck at acting, but third of all, if that happened to me, I'd be like, oh!
Yeah, I know.
Oh, did you guys see that? And like, it's fucking ruined.
It was like a lesson with the actors. Like as far as filming went, they were like, you never stop when you're working with George because he wants the mistakes, as we'll get to it further. But
well, I mean, you might as well say it right now. How many first takes, flubbed takes, he kept in this movie.
And a lot of that was rushing too, right? Like he needed to rush through this movie, so he's like, nah, that's good enough.
Yeah.
It's gonna work. You better be good on your first take.
It was all about trying to save production time because they didn't have a lot of it, and they were always getting kind of pushed around by stuff, you know, cities or, you know, permits, that kind of shit.
These are the oldest high schoolers I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Like they have all cashed their Social Security checks already.
Times were different back then.
They've gone through menopause. You know, like it is crazy. Look, like Richard Dreyfuss looks like he is 55 in this movie.
It's funny. You slap a beard on him, you shave his head, do whatever you got to do. that's just Richard Dreyfuss just looks like a dad.
He really does.
He always has.
I know we call him Tom Hanks like America's dad or something like that, but like you're just Richard Dreyfuss might be the stepdad.
I'm with you. He looks like he is constantly being pestered by his kids to take them to the pool.
It looks like he just dropped his kids off at the pool, and he got out of his car that he's not really stoked about driving, but he can't buy a new one because he's still working that job.
That's the weirdest car I've
bought
ever seen
that
in my
pool
life.
for his kids,
dude. Well, it is a weird car.
I don't think I've ever seen a car like that in my entire life.
Like a bug.
I don't know.
It's like
it's circular doors, like eggshell doors, like
Weird.
egg-shaped doors. It was
They're
weird.
talking about that. They mentioned how the cars in this movie are beyond just a car. They're kind of a reflection of, the characters who drive them. And this car, it's like a French car. It's like a pure
1967 Citroën 2CV. Citroën 2V, a French car.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
No, there's no reason for this car to be here, but it's kind of an analogy for his character, who is always kind of an outsider, not really fitting in.
Right. Okay.
He doesn't know what he wants to do.
Everybody's vehicle's sort of an analogy for
Kind
him.
of an analogy.
This
for
car
themselves.
doesn't know when it wants to start or when it wants to not.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Guys, I went to college. I left my town to go to college. And there's one thing I know, that whether or not I had thoughts of like maybe not going to college, I've already enrolled and paid the money, and I have a dorm room, and I bought my books already. Like, you can't decide to not go to college one day before school starts.
Yeah, you don't.
You just can't do that. You gotta at least go. At this point, you have to go and go. It didn't work out. I was there a semester. You can't just not do that.
Like, I know you can buy a plane ticket pretty fast, but damn, like that's
you already
right then that day.
How much would a plane ticket cost back then?
That thing wasn't full at all, I guess.
You don't take a plane ticket, like you don't jump on a plane with your buddy who said, "Oh, I've been convincing you this whole past 8 weeks to go to college with me." You don't jump on the plane, go to wherever school that you're thinking you're going to go to, walk into the admissions office and say, "One college, please."
I'll take a college.
About? Can I get a college to go? It's like,
I never realized that in my head
about?
too. I never thought about that as a kid. I'm like, well, I guess you could just decide.
I guess you just get to do that. You got to.
I'll take a bachelor's and a science degree, please.
Yeah. Can I get any minors with that, or is that?
If you do a science, you get one minor with it.
Oh, great.
That'll be an extra $2,000. Well, I have this $2,000 check from the Moose Lodge.
From the Moose
thank
Lodge.
goodness.
From the Moose
Everyone
Lodge.
knows they're loaded.
Yeah,
Dude, what is
Fucking
$2,000
sex traffickers.
in 1962?
in '62, I'll tell you. $2,000 in 1962. Talk about something else for a second.
Okay, then I'm going to ask Shaun.
Moose Lodges is sex traffickers.
It has to be.
100%. That's how they
Why
get
is
their
he
money.
hanging out at the Moose Lodge?
I don't know. And it looks like a cover for they have pinball machines in there.
I'm gonna blow your freaking minds right now.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just give me a guess, guys, quick.
$2,000 in 1962, I'm going to say it's like $25,000.
Sean,
16,000.
$20,000, $244.
That's
$20,000.
That's okay. So if you were, I'm taking a guess here. It's been a long time since I've been at college. For 1 year of college at a state college, room and board, everything. What are we talking? Like 10 grand? So
Right
he literally
now,
just
yeah.
had like 2 years of his schooling paid for in a
Good
check that he's
God.
like, I don't know.
man. Don't know if I want to.
I stick around, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, but if a girl mouthed the words "I love you" to me,
He didn't know that yet, though.
well, I'm just saying,
Right.
Like that's it. It will inform his decision. It's a whole catalyst to his
Wait,
arc.
but then he's like, he doesn't know that a girl loves him, and he's like, I'm not going. Then he finds out a girl loves him. He's like, I'm going. Like, what?
Well, he's got to find the girl first. It's like I assume my thought was like if he finds the girl, he's going to stay. That was my thought the whole time.
We'll get there.
What's the movie? Is it She's All That or not? Not She's All That. No.
Drumline?
Not. Well, could have been. Might as well be. No. What's the one with like Seth Green and Ethan Embry and like it's
Loser?
Jennifer Love Hewitt and like that one that he's like he gives the letter to her and stuff.
Can't hardly wait.
Can't hardly wait. Yeah, it's
We gotta
basically
do that
Can't
one, by
Hardly
the
Wait.
way.
It's basically
It
Can't
is,
Hardly Wait.
but this is and guys,
American Graffiti ripped off Can't Hardly Wait. That's
it totally did.
100%.
It totally did. Shaun, I got to ask you.
Can't Hardly Wait was adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
That's how you get.
See?
That's how you get American Graffiti.
Yeah.
John Milner is Wooderson, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, like Wooderson was potentially based off of this, right?
You can probably say that for sure.
But everybody has that. Everybody has the guy. You go back to your high school day, you have the guy that, because we're assuming Milner has graduated at least 1 to 2 to 3 years ago.
Right.
We're I guess they don't really say, but we're assuming that.
Yeah.
Everybody had that guy who was just like still there. And he sort of, all his friends left, so he's like, well, here's my new group of friends. Like, everybody had, did you have that in high school?
Not really.
There's always that guy. But that's Wooderson in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. I mean, I like the kind of character of this. You know, I mean, it's weird that they're both like into underage girls, but we'll get to that in a little
Is
while.
Milner into underage girls?
He's not.
No.
He's not.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. It was like I didn't see this movie, so I was wondering where the hell this went. But seeing him in this movie, he's just James Dean to me.
Yeah.
I don't see really Wooderson. I mean, like the similarities for sure, but it's just James Dean and like a kind of free grazing almost kind of character who just kind of floats in and out of people's lives.
He's James Dean, who's like gone like 2 years beyond his prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a way, because like it's still this idea of, if you have Wooderson who's saying, you know, I get older, these girls stay the same age. He's saying I get older, and it seems like they get less and less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like he's just slightly beyond his prime and to the point that he's still cool, but he's not people aren't chasing, girls aren't chasing him.
And I feel I used to think he was the coolest guy in this movie. I loved his car. I loved him. He was in The Night They Saved Christmas. I love him in that.
Bobby.
Anyway, but I feel so sorry for the character of Milner in this movie. Take away the ending of this.
Yeah.
We're not even there. If you think about this in an aspect of real life, he's 3 years graduated. He doesn't have any friends other than these young kids now.
I don't even know if he is graduated.
We don't even know, right?
Yeah.
And like he's like so close to being like getaway creeper. I mean, he's like almost there.
Yeah.
He probably lives at home with his parents. I like to think of like, where does he live? I used to always think, oh, he's got his own house. No, he doesn't. He lives at home for sure with his parents. He's working just like a garage job.
Or he like stays there. That was my thought, where he just kind of works at a garage and
Maybe.
his boss just let him sleep
He's
there.
got a cot in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he's like cruising the streets and everybody knows him. They're like, hey, John. But they're also probably like, fuck, John's still, when is John going to do something with his life? You know, like that conversation's starting to creep in to everyone in town.
But he's also like, it's kind of a cool character because he is the living embodiment, a physical person of the idea of nostalgia, of like what they're all kind of like, especially Kurt is battling at this moment, you know, whether to stay or whether to go. John's always going to be there. And this town may always be the same, and John's going to be in it, you know. I kind of like that aspect of it.
You know, upon the first watch of this movie, you get sucked into the environment of the movie. And then even into like your second watch, and by the third watch, you're really trying to pay attention to the things that they're talking about. I think that's the thing about this movie is it does take some time almost to kind of warm you up a little bit. And I think it takes even some multiple watches. I'm sure I'll say that later, but I probably won't. But
I'll remind you.
I'll forget. But that is the point of this, is like you start to really pay attention to their dialogue between each other, and as much as they're friends, how they're already contrasting, you know, and really kind of fighting each other in themselves.
Well, you notice how John doesn't talk to Steve at all through
No.
the whole movie? There's like zero interaction between John and Steve.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel like Kurt is the glue of this whole group. Because Kurt's sister is Lori, which means
That's
now
right.
Lori is with Steve. So and he's good friends with Steve, but then Kurt is good friends with John. So John's just sort of there, you know. Like,
Right.
there were always people in high school that you would associate with, but you're just like, I'm not going to call you unless you're with those guys.
Yeah, we don't really hang out unless we're all hanging out.
Right. Yeah.
And then are we also assuming that Lori is a year younger, right? That's why she's got one more year of school.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. When they're in the car and Steve's about to break up with her, and you can see her, she's kind of excited. What does she think he's leading to? Does she think he's leading up to like engagement, or does she think he's leading up to like their first time having sex? Because think of the era of this. this is not like
it's starting to be a sexual revolution.
It's not there yet, right?
Yeah.
So like, because she's very like, and then you were leading up to something big. Like, what do you think she was thinking he was going to get up to?
I think it was some sort of commitment. Like some sort of bigger commitment than just like, oh, we're going together.
Because she talks about she has a ring.
Yeah.
She mentions having the ring, and then after they have this conversation,
and the necklace.
She takes the. She kind of like, yeah, that's right. Or is it the
some
necklace?
sort of necklace or something?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and so she basically takes it off. Well, I'll keep it in my room. That way, it's less conspicuous. That kind of a thing. And I think she thought it was like leading up to engagement.
I think it was sex.
You think it was sex?
I really do, because we'll get to it later. There's that moment of where they kind of, come on, it's our last night together, and she's like,
Well, this makes me kind of dislike him a little bit more now too, because like this whole scene, I was just like, this dude's fucking manipulative as shit.
Yeah, I mean,
like the way he's phrasing this is like, just break up with her. If that's the case.
I don't have anyone else, so I might just say it.
Okay.
If we were on a train to go punch a face, I'm on board.
That's what I'm talking about.
If it's not Holstein, the police officer, it might be Steve.
I'm with you.
I'm 100% on the Steve train, and I don't want to divulge it yet because there's a scene later that we really need to talk about where he becomes the punch on the face. But he's just this, like, I never liked him as a kid either. He's the rich kid. He's got rich parents for sure. He's got this unbelievable car that he didn't buy.
Yeah.
He's just overly preppy dork that I would not have hung out with.
He is the quintessential. This is what I think. Like, right, and so, but not in a good way. He's like the bad version of this, like that guy who kind of has it all together in the 60s, in the 50s, right? Even where it's like clean cut, kind of captain of the football team almost, or debate team or whatever. He's like well respected in school. He checks all the boxes, but he thinks he's owed everything.
Yeah. Yes.
And it pisses me off.
We're leaving in the morning.
Yeah.
We're leaving in the morning.
Like
you promised
go.
me.
The way he talks
You
to
don't need him.
everybody.
Go.
And
He can
honestly,
stay.
his only redeeming factor is really his relationship with Terry. Like,
Yeah.
because he does
He
treat
does. That
Terry
is a pretty good move.
and as an equal. He lets him take his car to take care of it. He trusts it. He's his friend. He is his friend, right? He doesn't treat Terry like everyone else.
Okay, you sold me on that.
So that's really his only my personal thought. His only redeeming factor of some of these things.
Yeah.
I will say too, I do find that him and Lori's relationship is like really interesting though too. I know he's like very manipulative, but there is like these scenes, especially when we get to the dance, where like, it like they are fighting technically, but they kind of rekindle too, and then they fight again. They kind of rekindle. I like that a lot. It's done really well in this. I think in another movie it could just be like, oh, it's on again, off again. Rachel fucking
Rachel and Ross.
Yeah,
get it.
I think it's really interesting in this movie, and I there's. And maybe some movies like this where it's kind of vignette-y with with the different groups of characters. When they get to this one, it could have been for me at least like, oh well, this is the boring one. I didn't find that at all.
Dude, right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, I see that.
And
I thought that as a kid though.
Yeah.
I was like, get rid of this part.
I do think that they have the quirks of like what's been kind of in your younger years, right? A longer relationship.
Oh yeah, they've been going together since probably 5th grade.
So
that's how it feels.
Yeah.
They both do that kind of thing. And is this in the sock hop?
We haven't got there yet.
Okay, I'll say it then.
Okay.
I'll say it then.
Well, before we move on to scene 2, I want to talk about the soundtrack. Let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
This fucking movie is unreal because basically there's never not music playing.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it so well that he talks about the era of this where every single person is listening to Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
XERP or whatever. Every single car has the exact same song on it. And you'll hear the music loud and then like you'll hear this weird slap back reverb in scene where you're not hearing it very clear. It's because it's making the impression that it's just coming from these other cars.
Or like a shop or something,
Dude.
or whatever. Like everybody is listening to this. And it was like one of the true inspirations for the movie was Wolfman Jack.
Dude, you take away the soundtrack from this movie and this is not a classic.
Well, it's fucking awesome the way they
amazing.
recorded these songs. Like they had these songs, got all the rights to them and everything. And then Walter Murch, of all people, who's a fantastic editor, would do these recordings. Like he would be in a sound booth and like put the speakers over here to the microphone, and like he would move them as they were watching the movie, so it'd be like seamless as like if a car is going by or like someone's walking by a shop. You know, it makes the movie. Like honestly, it makes this like movie. I'll watch this movie over and over again because of this fact. It's so well done.
I still have my dad's vinyl, and I pop it on once a month because it is just there's something about this era of music that what it does to you.
This movie, you know, that it had to just set tones for other movies. Because I don't think a lot of other movies did this. They did their own soundtracks and orchestrals and scores.
There's no score to this, right?
No.
There's sounds.
It's crazy,
that's about
man.
it.
Like, I just think that is honestly some of the most interesting. And, you know, it's this, the music is a character, and the overlay of this just trucks this movie along. It carries this movie. I'll be honest with you. I think the music is just what carries this movie.
100%.
And
the way that it works. Sorry, the way it works throughout, hearing it constantly and in and out of the different cars, like you were talking about. You know, it's amazing. I've never heard anything like it. Honestly, still,
it feels so real.
Yeah,
like incredibly real.
And Wolfman Jack is essentially God, right? Like Wolfman Jack is this God being that is just talking to everyone and has their full control.
Yeah.
He's basically Joe Rogan.
He's Joe Rogan.
I was just going to fucking say, you asshole. I was just going to say.
Wolfman Jack is Joe Rogan. and
every car I get out of and every car I get in, it's just, oh, Jamie, pull that up.
Jamie,
and then Jamie's fucking annoying ass voice.
His fake laugh. I can't fucking stand it.
You have to though. Before we finish that though, there's something that I yearn for: the idea that you are listening to the same thing someone else is.
Yes.
And we will we don't have that. That will never happen. If the chances of you pulling up next to someone someday and both your windows down and you're both listening to the same thing at the same time is just non-existent.
Nope, it doesn't work anymore.
And like I just love knowing that guy's listening to the same song I am. Like that's so cool.
That's what I find like comforting and like what I still like about radio in general is that fact of like one, someone is curating this for me. I don't need to go through my playlist, like, you know, I don't need to do that. Someone's doing it for me. And then also there could be people out there listening to the same music, and for some reason it's comforting.
It is, you
know, and especially that, like I've had that happen. You know, like the new fucking Britney Spears song is banging. And these chicks are in the car next to us singing it, and we're singing it too. You know, it'll never happen again.
Never again.
We've been given so much control over it, and think about how much focus goes into it. Even before you start your car, and the next thing you do is you put on whatever music you want to listen to.
What podcast am I going to listen to? What playlist am I going to hit? Am I going to hit an album? Do I want to go here?
Yep. And then you put on your seatbelt, and then you put it into reverse or drive.
Yeah.
And that's what you do now. Like, it's a part of your routine of getting into your car, whereas now it used to be like you just turn up the radio, and you just like, there's, you know, however many stations or whatever, but
like 5
everybody
programmable
knows.
buttons on those old cars. Yeah, that was it.
But everybody knows the station that they're going to listen to tonight.
Yeah.
Wolfman Jack, baby.
Yeah.
But at the same time, one last thing on it is that, like, if we don't have disc jockeys like this anymore, like just who are just so infectious, you know.
I'd give anything to ask Howard Stern about Wolfman Jack and any inspiration he had from that. Because Wolfman Jack, dude, he is an interesting character. Like he's a real person that basically he had a pirate radio show.
Yeah.
There was a station that apparently, where was it? It was like just across the border in Mexico.
It was real.
Yeah.
Dude, that fact is real.
And didn't it had like a mega huge tower, like the biggest tower in North America that could broadcast all over the U.S.
Yeah.
And so they didn't have to adhere to like FCC regulations. And so they could just do whatever they wanted and play whatever they want and make prank phone calls. And like, he was the true like shock jock before Howard Stern came along.
Well, because he was like a horror fan too, so that's kind of where like the name came from as well. And like, I might have been a joke, but they said that the radio waves were so strong, like if birds crossed the path, they would just fucking get knocked out and die.
See, that plays to what you hear in this movie, like all these weird, like I heard he flies around in a plane.
Yeah,
I heard that birds would die if they go across the radio waves. Like none of that was probably true.
Yeah,
but he like built this like mystery. And people go, I gotta listen to him. I just love Wolfman Jack, man.
And that's like, that's the beauty, and it's why it's why you fall in love with this movie eventually. Why it kind of turns you into it, because you don't have that anymore. The world doesn't have a lot of mystery anymore, other than what you want to create a conspiracy about, right?
Yeah.
And the world doesn't have that kind of mystery. It doesn't have the telephone game of life that just goes through. We actually all have fucking telephones that you can just look it up and say, well,
Not true.
no, that's not right.
Is that fact checked?
There was 14 podcast episodes about this last week. I listened to all of them.
Yeah, I'll listen to all of them on
That's
my
fucking
commute
stupid.
on my hour and a half commute to work and back.
I read that article on Facebook. I'm pretty much an expert.
I basically know exactly what I read. That article. Oh, you did? Well, I read the headline.
The headline. That's
Okay.
it.
That's it. Like there's no mystery of the world anymore, you know. Like, but I love how it really does kind of bring that into light from this era. I think it's great.
If you want to know more about Wolfman Jack, there's a cool YouTube video. Wolfman Jack, the sad, strange story. The YouTube channel is Do You Remember? So
Cool.
check it out. It's cool.
Sweet. All right, scene 2. Kurt, Steve, and Lori attend the high school sock hop. En route, Kurt sees a beautiful blonde woman that he wants to find. In an attempt to get cruising company for the evening, John inadvertently picks up Carol, a precocious 12-year-old who manipulates him into driving her around all night. Steve and Lori have some important discussions at the dance. My friends, do you know who the band was at the sock hop? Did you look it up?
It was
I saw that they were credited. I forget what they were
it
called.
was like Continental Kid and the
Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids.
Okay, yeah.
They're still playing. They just played the Surf Ballroom like 2 weeks ago.
No way.
Serious?
They go by Flash Cadillac now is all they do. But my God, I used to always think that this was just a real band from the era because I never understood the concept of this was recorded in 73, but it was
right.
So this, I'm going to go on a limb here and say Flash Cadillac is the very first tribute band.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they
Wow.
started the trend because they were, this was in the 70s and they played the old songs. Like that was their vibe. They're like, we're an old school band. I fucking, and once again, by the way, no PA. There's no main speakers. Every movie we see, there's a high school dance. No mains.
I can get beyond that if they're playing their instruments correctly.
Were they?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're a real band.
They were great.
It looked like they were recording them live.
The
I don't know.
guitarist looked like he was definitely doing the thing. Couldn't really see much of the bass player. Keyboard, he just kind of had a weird haircut.
He could have been my punchable face just for like the
I know.
one reaction. He's like,
I thought about it. I did think about that.
But think about it. So they're playing to a room. I loved how they portrayed this. The room, the majority of the people in the room are dancing, but then there's still a front row of girls just going,
oh
Yeah.
my God, Flash Cadillac.
Flash Cadillac. And by the way, they are actually playing these songs. Like the versions you hear is them.
Yeah.
Because they are credited on the soundtrack.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
That it wasn't them mimicking. It's like Back to the Future. Like, that was a re-recorded version of Johnny Be Good.
So maybe
Right.
the production, Francis Ford Coppola and everybody didn't have to pay for those royalties for those songs
might have.
as much.
Ooh.
I remember. So this is one of the reasons why I know I've seen this, because this up until a certain point in my life, this is the only version of Louie Louie that I had ever listened to,
Cool.
and so I thought that it went Louie Louie, oh no, we gotta go, like that kind of thing, like the longer elongated, but now it's like we gotta go, that kind of thing. I never heard that version before, and I only heard
gotta go.
We gotta go, that kind of thing.
Isn't that the song where there's like a hidden fuck or something like that? You guys know about that
In
legend?
the
hope
real
so.
song?
Yeah, I think
Really?
like one of the drummer, I think it's that song. The drummer or something like that. Like in the recording, he like hit his hand on the rim of his snare or something like that. He's like, "Fuck!" And you can hear it in the recording.
Nice.
We
kinda
gotta
fun.
check. We gotta fact check that.
We'll
Craig, fact check that.
Yeah, fact check
on
that.
that,
What do you think about this?
Craig,
Craig.
pull
Hey,
that.
Craig.
Hey, Craig, pull that up.
And then Craig
Pull
goes,
that. You find that?
Yeah, so apparently
Well, it turns out that it does actually hit his hand, but it's not actually. He doesn't say fuck. He just says, "Oh, dog."
that's what he says, I think.
I think that's what he says.
My name's Jamie. I got rich from doing nothing.
Jamie, pull that up.
Sock hop. They.
What do you think about the sock hop? dude?
I love it. I've been to some school dances and I've danced with some ladies, but back then, man, they fucking threw those ladies around like they were nothing. Like they were just like.
Yep.
I should probably do my actual watch.
I sure. He has an actual watch. The joke happened and he does his wrist. Oh, it's funny. Yeah.
I'm not as good as you, dude.
What? The dance is like, and this is like the freshman dance though.
Yes.
So
this is like the incoming. It's like a mixer of we're meeting at each other here.
There wouldn't be any boy freshmen here if this was Dazed and Confused. They'd be running for their lives right now.
That's very true.
Like, and but Steve and Lori, they're like almost the old people.
The old guard.
They're the old guard at this. And, Lori's still going to be here for, she has one more year, they said. But Steve, he graduated last semester, as they say. So this is one of the points I wanted to make was that you kind of see they have their back and forth where they kind of do it to each other. And so first Steve is like, well, come on, I want to dance. I said I want to dance.
I want to dance.
And the way he says this is like, oh, God, I want to punch you so bad. It's like, I said I want to dance. It's like, okay, Cunningham, chill the fuck out, okay? And so, but he's like trying to get her to dance. Well, fine. And then the lights come on to them, though, and she's saying, well, put on a smile. Like, don't make a scene. Like he was saying too.
Yeah.
So they kind of go back and forth at each other in this way. And they have to walk out, do this dance. And this dance is what they called a snowball.
Yeah.
I thought this might be some of the most like easiest writing or some of the most genius writing. Because a snowball dance is apparently those two people start it.
Yep.
And then they branch off and they dance with two other people.
And then they all branch off.
And then they branch off. And then they branch off.
Woo.
And they
until
tell three
everyone's
friends,
dancing.
And they tell three friends.
I saw a thing. It was like a random YouTube video that I was watching one time. It was like back in the day when they had sock hops. They did like a dance marathon, like a challenge, like a Fear Factor kind of thing where they danced for however long they could and they got like a prize at the end. And people were like dying of exhaustion at these things. And
times are different, bro.
Totally reminding me of it. Like that's the thrills they needed to get back then because not a phone in sight.
Not a phone in
Not
sight.
a phone in sight.
Fun stuff.
I'd like to add for the record that he does in fact yell fuck in the recording.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
thank you very much, friend.
Louie.
TikTok coming up.
Craig.
Woo! No, it's I like to get on your point, AJ. I almost think it's genius because if you don't know what a snowball dance is, or if you don't hear them go, there's snowball. No one.
There was a snowball.
Yeah, that just shows how amazing it is because the people in the background are going, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
why
aren't they doing it?" And then they just never separate. We get to the whole next song, and they're just still slow dancing. And I like that it adds a layer to their relationship. That it's like, okay, cool. And then they have that fun moment where he tells off the teacher. And they hug, and they're like,
Apparently, it was cut for the first
really
the first cut of it that was left out, and then the re-release of it in I think like 80 something when they re-released this like on DVD and VHS and everything. He put everything back like George Lucas likes to do in his
Thanks,
movies.
George.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I think it works. I think I like that moment a lot where he's like, "I graduated last year" or whatever. You fucking asshole.
Yeah.
It's always triumphant when that scene happens. It's like a
stick it to
quitting
him a little
story.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it shows this layer. It's this other, it's that underlying thing of he's planning to separate to this degree with Lori, and it kind of shows it's kind of that foreshadowing almost that they really don't want to.
Yes,
they
correct.
don't genuinely want to. They don't want to split off to go and try and meet other people,
bang other people.
Yeah, exactly. Dance with other people.
I hear those college girls really put out. Give me some of your zit cream. Cherry bomb.
Suck me, beautiful.
All that's going on.
All that, yeah, right.
Love high school, bro.
High school. But I love this. Can you imagine somebody trying to suspend you for telling them to go kiss a duck?
I like it.
Why don't you go kiss a duck?
Why don't you just go kiss a duck?
Excuse me?
Whoa!
Donnie, why don't you suck a fuck?
Yeah. What did you just say to me?
It's pretty awesome.
Wow. Okay.
Tell you times are different. I'm going to keep saying
different
it.
times,
are different
right?
back there.
Oh, my
I'll tell you where
goodness.
times were really different, my friend, is that high school teachers could bang students.
Nice.
Just
Super cool.
This is weird, man. This guy, what does he says? If he caught me dancing with all you sexy little
Excuse me.
young ladies.
Nice young ladies.
And then I never understood this. He's outside having a conversation with Kurt, smoking a cigarette, and that one girl comes up, and then he like goes into the shadows and talks to her. I was like, what
is happening?
What the fuck is going on here?
I was watching the making of this, and the two writers that besides George Lucas that worked on this, they were like, yeah, that we added that in there because we always remembered this one teacher in our school that we all thought was really cool. And that's all they had to say about it. It's like, yeah, everyone thought
all the
he was
girls
cool.
liked him.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, yeah, but this is a problem.
This is weird.
This is a problem even back then, I hope. You know, I don't know. It's weird, but it's also like Kurt's like mentor.
Well, and by the way,
You know?
he went to college for a semester and then dropped out.
And he's
how
a
is he a
teacher?
Yeah.
What did he do?
Well, it was a different time back
It was a different
then.
time. You just had to be there.
Well,
You
he
just
is
had
a
to say, I went
PE
to some
teacher.
college.
He could
He's a
be.
PE
Actually, you're
teacher.
absolutely right.
That's right.
Yeah, and he is Kurt's mentor, really. And there's that moment where Kurt's walking through the halls of the high school. I want to run through the. Never mind. It's dark, and he's like looking at like. Have you ever been in your high school at night?
It's eerie.
Alone?
It's like going to a
weird.
mall or a store with nobody in
Yes.
it, like after hours or whatever. you
But
know?
it's totally a vibe. Like it's just like this used to be vibrant, and it's not anymore. And
Right.
times are different now.
The fluorescent lights aren't killing your eyes
Exactly.
in the and it's all dark and it's all it's not the hustle and bustle. It's weird when you're in those hallways alone and it's everything is echoing.
It's like the Breakfast Club almost.
Yeah,
when they're running
yeah.
through the halls. Speaking of the lighting in this movie,
It's not great.
I shut my blinds. I shut every light
Yep.
off in my house to man, this movie is fucking dark. And I know that's what G. Lucas says he was going for.
Good old G.
Like he wanted to be like kind of documentary, kind of verite-ish kind
Yeah.
of style. But man, a lot of the scenes in this movie, and this movie takes place all at night mostly. A lot of the scenes, man, I cannot tell what is going on or who was in frame. I don't know. It's one thing that I have to get over, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Because it's almost a problem for me.
There's parts where it bothers me because I want to be able to. You want to be able to see things more clearly, but I think that there is I think it's sometimes it's a conscious technique. I'm not saying it is here, but it's to help you focus more.
Sure.
Just like the same way, when you want somebody to pay attention, it should be getting a little quieter, right? So that way people kind of lean into what you're doing. And, sometimes the sound design, sometimes the lighting and whatnot, takes a very dark or low tone to get you to focus. And I like that, especially that part where it's like the teacher and stuff. He's his mentor at the Moose or something.
Some of it
brother
works.
is weird, but some of it really works. Other times it is just kind of difficult to see, and I wish I could see more. I get what you're saying.
You can kind of see the film grain, like trying its hardest to see what it can. And you have Haxel Wessler, who directed a really fucking cool movie, Medium Cool, and he's like a great light technician pretty much, and he was doing it on this. And I hear him talk about like they had to go around to shops on the streets and stuff and light and see if they could like put lights in their shops or have them turning them on or whatever. And then I heard a description of George Lucas wanted this to be like a jukebox lit film. Like that's what the feel he wanted.
Yeah.
I'm like, jukeboxes are like extremely vibrant. You can see all the song titles, I don't know. It's one thing I'm definitely like, that's a gripe of mine.
Yeah.
It's really dark.
The color, it's those jukeboxes. I remember like the Happy Days jukebox, right? It's like almost a neon sign lit up around that thing.
Yeah.
So when you do have color, it does kind of punch you in the face here and there. Like when he's outside like the liquor store or something, and But yeah, I get what you're saying. It almost adds to the contrast, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to scene 3. So Terry cruises around the strip and picks up a rebellious Debbie. He attempts to buy liquor for them. John and Carol have a series of petty arguments until another car's occupants verbally harass her, and as she attempts to walk home alone, John decides to protect her. Kurt is forced into hanging out with the Pharaohs, who force him into several tasks, including stealing coins from arcade machines and hooking a chain to a police car, ripping out its back axle.
If you have to ask if a person's old enough, specifically a girl, she's not. She's just not. She's just not.
Yeah,
It is like we've been kind of joking about it a little bit, but that their whole thing of John and Carol, I really like it.
I do too.
It's, to me, after like the third watch of this, I was like, it is really just like a sister brother thing on it. That's how I see it.
And he doesn't. If you're saying, well, John, you just found out she's 12. You got to get rid of her. He's like, he wants to, but
if he does,
but he can't just let her out on the streets. We saw what happened when she like ran away. He's like, fuck, no, you can't be out there. Like he wants to get her home or get her back to like he's a non-threatening person in this thing. So yeah, it's very brother and sister. I like it.
I'm so glad because with the teacher and everything like that too. I'm like, they could have gone that way. I guess they could have just been fine with it. But I'm super glad they did it, and it's one of my favorite aspects of it. Like one of my favorite vignettes of the movie. It's really interesting every time it cuts back to them.
I'll tell you the person I hate the most that I thought about making punchable face. It's the first girl in Bob Falfa's car.
Oh yeah.
I still I never knew what she said. She has 2 lines.
Yes.
When he's like, I ain't nobody, dork. He's talking to Toad.
Yeah.
And I never, she goes like, ADD. Like she said, you know what I'm talking about? You know who, can you picture her in the film?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
She says, ain't he neat?
Ain't he neat?
Ain't he neat? Ain't he neat? Like, I don't understand this at all. I don't understand why they were like, she should say, ain't he neat? And she should say it twice.
Because that's who that guy attracts. That's why.
It was weird, man. And because I never knew what she said. Now I had closed captions. Like, ain't he neat?
There's a lot of early 60s slang in this movie. Yeah, like
There's
neat
a
or
lot.
like, hey, groovy chick, you're really happening far away. That kind of shit, which it takes you back. And I think honestly, what's his name? Who plays Terry or who plays Toad?
Yeah.
Toad.
He has kind of the best of it. I think the best delivery.
He is.
He seems legit when he's saying all these kind of
He
dated
does.
lines.
I was trying to think of where I recognized him from, and I was like, oh my god, Untouchables.
Yep.
Dude, and I love his character. I think his delivery is phenomenal.
He's great.
Like you're saying, like when he goes in to that liquor store and he's
so good.
He's like,
it's Teen Wolf, dude.
Yeah, let me get a 3 Musketeers, some of those watch batteries, beef jerky. I'll get a pint of Old Harper.
Bottle of Harper.
Bottle of Harper. And
I left my ID in the car.
Oh,
well, funny thing is I don't have my car.
I forgot the car. I forgot it in my car. Well, you're gonna have to go get it before I can sell it to you. Well, the funny thing is I forgot the car. Like, what are you talking about?
Give me a keg of Old Harper.
Give me a pint of Old Harper.
I like this.
Yeah, go
well,
ahead.
I like this scene too. It's like one of the G. Lucas's isms is like the first take kind of thing where this robber comes in and he asks him for the liquor. He's like, yeah, I'll get you a bottle of liquor, whatever. He comes out and runs. He tosses it to Terry. And in reality, he the actor didn't know that bottle was he was looking away at the time, and he just timed it wrong. So he threw it, and right at the last minute, it's in the movie. Right at the last minute, he grabs it out of midair, like fucking like Marshall Lynch or something. Like that, it's crazy. Like that. And he was even explaining it too. He's like, I don't know why he kept that in the movie, but every kind of mistake that he found. And they got on film. He's like, I'm putting it in the movie.
Good enough.
It's more real.
Yeah.
And it is, especially that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
It adds that little bit of honesty to it it's the way it probably would have gone anyways, when you can get those miracle first takes, second takes, he's going to keep them in. I think that's, it adds to George Lucas's, his reputation, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to love. Sometimes there are parts of me that don't want to love George Lucas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is one of those movies that I'm just like,
damn it, I like
I
that.
do respect you.
But also, watching the behind the scenes documentary too, people are like, yeah, he would. The only direction that he would give us is, I don't know, what do you want to do?
So he just got lucky that there was a good group of actors.
A good group of actors and a good script. I think this is why this movie kind of lasts.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it is the most of the reason, and the music like we discussed.
Oh,
but,
damn.
Even saying that, after they would be done with a take, he'd be like, fantastic. And that's it.
Cool.
He didn't have any notes for him or anything. He's like, and then he talked to him afterwards. He's like, I will let you know if I don't like anything. But I don't know, man.
I don't like that.
I think he was just trying to get through it. And
Yeah.
that's what
He
it
didn't
seems
want
like.
to make this movie.
Right.
He wanted to make sci-fi weird shit.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, well, I got to make that one that gets my name going so I can make Star Wars.
I can't wait to make Star Wars. That sounds stupid, George.
Everybody thought so.
It's like, I believe in it. It's like, what was I going to say? There's one other thing about this is that we didn't get to talk about the blonde a ton.
Debbie?
And so the blonde and the T-bird.
Right.
We didn't get to talk about that a lot, and I did want to make mention that if Shaun, if you were in the back of the car and you said, "Oh, I just saw this blonde and she's beautiful and she wants me. I think she said she loves me." I'd be like, we need to get you laid. We need to get you laid.
Let's
now.
go find her.
Like, we need to go find somebody. Not her. because she probably doesn't actually
No,
exist.
exactly. It would be a mirage if I saw it.
Right. And I'm like, so
Shaun, no one loves you.
gorgeous girl in a
No one
gorgeous
would've said
car said that they love you. What? You guys aren't romantics or anything? It's like, what are you talking about? You're speaking crazy language.
That's not
right
the way
now.
this works.
It's not the way this works.
It's that she was high. She was drunk on something,
Yep.
and she just did a thing. I've had girls be like, "You're cute," when I'm like, "No, I'm not."
That's the
Like,
angel
no,
dust
they just
talk,
did
right?
that because it's funny, you know. Yeah, it would be like let's go court a girl,
Yeah.
at a party and then get you laid. It's not like we're gonna go chase the girl that said I love you for a joke.
Dude.
Yeah.
But then like it feels like Kurt had a very good relationship with his old girlfriend,
Yeah.
right? Like
That was kind of fun.
And
I
they're on
like
good
that
terms.
a lot. Like, why not go back there? And God, dudes, I love the line where he's like, "Well, where are you going? Nowhere. Mind if I come along?"
Mind if I come along?
That is this movie to a T. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I'll just jump in with you, I guess.
Yeah.
Now let's see how the night times. Kurt should have chased her more.
It writes this movie off as the quintessential hangout movie. Mm-hmm. That where are you going? No, like nowhere. Like nowhere. Can I tag along? That is just when you've got one night left potentially in this town. I'd love to go there. You know what I mean?
Say yes.
Yeah.
Where's this gonna go?
Yeah. So you're right. I mean, I love that line.
We got to talk about the Jarrett Layoff actor database. So the obvious ones here are Dreyfuss and Ford have been in 2 movies now. This is their second movie. One person has been in 3 movies of all that we've done. And I don't think you're going to get it. But do you have any idea who this might be?
No.
Very B-level character in a lot of movies, but he takes the cake for this movie, for actors.
Is it Manuel Padilla
Nope.
Jr.? Oh.
Nope. It is Scott Beach. So Scott Beach plays Mr. Gordon at the arcade when the Pharaohs go in there.
Yeah.
He's the judge in Mrs. Doubtfire, and he's the mayor in the pie eating contest in Stand By Me.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
That's cool. Damn, I have never
Just
picked him
kind of
out.
very B-level character, but yeah, he's the one where the Pharaohs are stealing the money
Yeah.
from the
He's
arcade.
definitely a young version of that
Yeah.
judge. You're right.
He exactly is, yes. Let's talk about the Pharaohs. Like, what do you think about this whole interaction here?
I think Bo Hopkins in this
Dude.
movie is the coolest fucking thing
He
on
is.
earth. Hit the button right
damn.
now.
Ooh, here's a prop.
Pharaoh's jacket. I'm taking it.
You're on a
God, you're the
Pharaohs.
only one that could wear it, I feel, in this group.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate that.
Because it's a weird jacket.
Because it's stupid.
And it would look
a
really,
really
cool
s-
on Shaun, though.
It's borderline trench coat. So yeah, you'd look great in
He
it.
looks fucking dope.
Yeah.
What about you?
No.
You know one?
I don't fucking have one. For
I know
this
what I
movie.
want
I
then.
don't know
cigarette
it.
pack in John's.
I
sleeve?
wish. I'm not that cool. I'm not cool enough to smoke.
We don't gotta smoke them.
Yeah, he doesn't smoke.
Oh, okay. He just keeps them around.
Did he
for-
ever smoke a cigarette in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
fucking cool as shit. Dude.
Yeah,
Damn it.
He's a
He looks
badass.
awesome doing
I
it.
love him. I'm taking the skull hanging from the rearview mirror of
God
Bob
damn,
Falva's
that's a
car.
good one.
That's what I want, dude.
That is a good one. You know what? I thought Shaun was going to take the his cowboy hat. I really thought he was going to
a
take the
good one.
cowboy hat. I will take. I want. I don't even have anything, guys. Like
Then fine.
I'll shout it out and interrupt somebody later.
A melting Wolfman Jack popsicle.
His popsicle stick that he like. Yeah. No, I don't know, but we'll get there.
The one he clenches on to make that voice. Okay, coming up now. There's a platter.
Okay, here it is. I want the letter
Nice.
That's what I want.
Cool. I like that.
Dope.
There you go.
The Pharaohs, did you recognize that? I talked about it in the Gone in 60 Seconds episode. I said, "Oh, this reminds me of American Graffiti, where they chain to the bottom of the cop car." That basically happens in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe an homage, but I had a thought. Do you think? I don't know if this is true, but do you think the reason Kurt decides to go to college is because he has to go through the blood ritual? And he's in the Pharaohs, and he's like, I'm never going to let these guys, these guys are going to come after me now because, they think I'm in their gang. And he doesn't want
something to do with it.
Because he did enjoy having this fun, but I also think he's like, I'm not joining the Pharaohs.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in this gang.
They also seem like not a serious thing, too, to me.
Dude.
They seem like like they want to be like this, but they're also like, there's only so far that they'll go. That's the way it seems to me. Like, they won't actually do a blood.
They kind of scared me when I was a kid. I was like, these guys, I don't want to be caught up with these guys.
But
Make
he
sure you never
goes up-
sit on the hood of a car.
I know. He goes up so casually to sit with them. I think that's the most interesting part. And I think that's honestly an interesting part of this movie is that everything happens so casually. There's not really a part ever that, they're not using sound engineered stingers and things like that, really. It is just to hang out and to literally, like what Kurt is doing, he is just drifting through all these moments of this night, really, He gets let out of this car, and then he just sits on the roof of the hood of this car, and I think that interaction is very funny.
I did, too, yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, you're like, ugh, man, it kind of...
He's kidnapped.
He's basically...
Yeah, that's a crime.
They took him pretty much against his will.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to get stabbed.
We're going to do petty crime, dude. We're going to steal some quarters. We're going to fuck up a cop car, and you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And when Bob, what'd you say his name was? Bo Hopkins. Like, that's really intense when he goes, well, the way I see it, you got three choices.
Yeah.
He goes, number one, you get up there, you make too loud of a noise, cops catch you. Number two, you don't want to do it, and he ties you up and drags you back in a car. Or three, you do it, and you get away with it.
And you
It's
become a pharaoh.
Like, that's kind of like, I don't like any of those choices.
Yeah. I love this scene.
Great.
The scene, I think, is like the sound design of this scene is what's really cool about it. Is that there's just like the train going by and then like him fumbling around. I think this scene's like maybe the best directed scene.
Might be.
Maybe best edited. But yeah, I think it's really cool. And then once they do kind of get the cops to come out and they break the axle off, which is fucking cool as shit. Dementia 13 is on the marquee, and that's Francis Ford Coppola's first movie.
They
So
love
it's like
doing that.
threw it
don't
in
they?
there, a little nod for Francis.
Easter eggs. We're directors.
We're friends.
Hey, put it up there. People will think that's funny in about 60 years.
Well, that's what they were watching at the time.
It's funny. If you stop the movie at this moment in time, you will see a Francis Ford Coppola Dementia 13 on the marquee before they cut right here.
Wow, very interesting.
Fuck, that's amazing.
All right, boys, let's go on to scene 4. So while Terry and Debbie leave Steve's car to share a romantic interlude, thieves steal the car. Later, he sees Steve's car and attempts to steal it back. The car thieves appear and beat him up until John intervenes. Meanwhile, skilled racer Bob Falfa is searching out John to challenge him to a race. Bob picks up an emotional Lori after the argument, and Steve that was brewing all night.
Terry's getting his, man.
Dude, he's got it.
I love it.
That's why we love Debbie, right? Like, Debbie's pretty cool, right?
Debbie's down. Debbie does Dallas. Debbie does a lot.
Debbie does Toad.
Debbie, she wants her frog prince,
Yeah.
That's what, and Toad's there to do it, right?
The only thing I didn't like about their whole interaction was when they were at before they got the alcohol, they were at Mel's, and he got a double chunky, cheesy chucker cheddar burger. It's like I wouldn't order anything like that if I was around a girl at all, because
Keep
it
it light.
just spells, just get some fries.
Split some fries
Coke.
and say, I'm going to have a salad.
10
I'm going to have a
Coke.
small side salad with Caesar.
Those things come out the way they went in, and it's coming out right when you get romantic, right when pants come down.
No, that's terrible. It's a terrible thing. You don't want to have. The only thing you want making that noise is the upholstery that you're rubbing against, right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you want. You keep it light for lunch there, Terry. That's all you got to do.
super early breakfast, whatever the hell they were getting.
Yeah, right. I do want to talk about Carol and John a little bit because I do, like Shaun, you said their relationship's pretty fun and the things they get into. Like first of all, when when she gets the appropriate response of this time is that if you get a water balloon thrown at you, what you then do in retaliation is very similar to getting hit with a water balloon. It is to flatten all of their tires,
Yes.
and whip cream their windows. It's
Right.
an equivalent punishment of, cleaning water off of your seat versus this isn't the world where you can just be like, oh, there's a quick star over there. I'm just going to get my tires pumped back up. Like, those people are fucked.
They're done.
Yeah, they're
fucked.
done. There's no free air at the Hy-Vee gas station, at
No.
the grocery store gas station, right? Nope.
But
No, the fueling station is 20 miles
And they're
down the road.
closed.
Yeah.
And they are closed.
yeah.
What'd
As
you-
we see in Duel.
What'd you think about that shot though too? Because it was
great.
pretty epic. Like those big spotlights going
Yes.
behind them,
with
like that.
Johnny B. Good, man. It's
Dude.
one of the best scenes. I
And
love
even
it.
some of the camera from inside of the car where the whipped cream was already on the windows, but the spotlight was going past it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shadows were everywhere. Like, I thought that was badass.
It's really good. I like it a lot.
And you even get the line that I think it's amazing that Carol says when they finally see Bob Falfa and they're kind of doing this back and forth. And Carol's like, "Yeah, your car's even uglier than I am." And she goes,
Well,
I don't know.
and you see how she's doing this really she keeps looking back and forth at them doing insults to each other. And she's like, "This is awesome."
Yeah. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
cool.
Like that is exactly what it is for when I was a kid, that was the kind of stuff that you just lived for.
Yes.
Was something probably in her mind or in light, probably going wrong to a degree. You know what I mean? It's not a place you want to be in the middle of, but there's something very enticing about oh man, this
she's
is
just in the middle.
kind of fun.
I need to get a line in at some point. Yeah, your car's even uglier than I am.
Try. Yeah.
Tried.
It's oh, this is so interesting to see because she's probably just never experienced it before, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's cool about that water balloon too is it was supposed to hit above her and just kind of splash on her, but it hit her directly in the face, and her reaction was supposed to be pissed, like her character is kind of in the movie, and get out and go do what they did. But she was laughing for real because she's like, God damn, that take got fucked up
It's
pretty
funny.
much. And it was a real reaction. They just smacked her right in the face.
Print it.
Kind of
Yeah.
fun.
It's supposed to hit John or somebody else, the car, whatever. It's supposed to splash them all, and she just gets smoked in the face.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
You can't ask for that. It
No.
would take 17 takes to get that right through that window.
It's the
right?
Breakfast Club lettuce. We talk
But
about it
also,
all the
where
time.
it's
Right.
G. Lucas directing this is just throw it just kind of above her,
Yeah.
and make sure you get her face is the most the biggest target out of all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
I mean, yeah, come on. Subconsciously, that's where it's going to happen, right? So,
But
it's
this
fun.
is the part where Steve becomes the punchable face for me. There's this weird interaction where he's they're at the canal and he's trying to,
He's gaslighting her.
You want it and you know it. And then he says the line that I still don't understand. He says, don't be such on a high horse, all that stuff about you watching your brother.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
I don't know what that was.
And she's like, you said you never, that was in confidence or something. What do you
You would
mean?
never bring that up again. Never talk
Watching
about
your
that.
brother? Do
Yeah.
what?
Right.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Because her brother is Kurt,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
But watching him do what?
But watch him do what?
What are we talking about here?
Maybe
Yeah.
they practice kissing each other every once in a while, like Lori and Kurt.
Probably got a hold of his mom's Sears catalog and
Oh,
checking out
my
the
goodness.
As you do.
the underwear section of that.
We're just checking it out. Just
That's what it is.
I'll show you yours.
He
You
turned-
show me mine.
He turned a Yonkers magazine into a Yankers magazine. It's fine, guys. It's fine. It's fine.
How do you think they got the name?
Come on.
Yeah.
It's just past the home section. It's right into the clothing.
Yeah.
section.
lifestyle section.
Lifestyle section. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate Steve in this scene, guys. I
don't know what
this
that
is where
meant.
it gets it.
Don't know what that meant. I don't like.
I didn't want to read into it anymore.
You just went,
It's-
Mike will probably talk about that.
It.
Mike will probably bring that up.
I was like, you know what? But it was a question in my mind. I was thinking about that. It's like that. It's got a lot of, we say it all the time. It's not spoon fed to you. Your imagination may just make it even worse, right? And that's not a good place to leave your imagination, though. because she's obviously very upset about it.
Yeah.
So you're just like, ugh.
But everybody all these girls love Steve, even though Steve's a piece of shit. Like Buddha for me is like, damn, Buddha. I'd be going all out. The girl on the skates.
I would be chasing that and leave the skates on.
Yeah, leave them on. And even she loves Steve. She has that moment where she sits down and she says something like, "Come on, why don't you come over after work? It'll just be for fun this time."
Yeah.
I was like,
instead of serious last time.
What'll be for fun this time?
Right.
And what was it serious last time? I would love to know where that went too.
Yeah, same.
It makes you think
Talk about it.
like deep down, just Steve isn't a guy that you should really like, or be or idolize or be endearing of. You know what I mean? Well, as you're watching this, it just seems like this is like if. We talk about it how, Happy Days was taken from this. Well, technically it was the other way around, but it's like it turns out Richie Cunningham, this is like his evil twin brother.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, dude. Like, no, you're a terrible person, Steve.
Let's talk about that. Did you hear like the full story on the Happy Days thing?
Yeah.
Do you know what? So the rumor was that Happy Days was directly from this. Like, they saw American Graffiti and they go, yep, we're turning that into a show. And the Fonz is Milner and done deal. But what I heard, and I don't know if this is real, I heard that the pilot episode of Happy Days was already filmed. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
But then it was never going to see the light of day. Like, they're like, nah, that sucks.
Because it was actually put under as a different name too. Like,
really?
There was a whole other name for it. It wasn't even called like Happy Days. It
right.
was just like it was shot as like an episode or a pilot episode of something that they wanted to produce.
And they just go, yeah, this sucks.
And they're like, nah, this doesn't make any sense. We don't get it.
And then George Lucas saw it.
Fred Roos was casting this movie, and he also cast Happy Days.
Oh, shit. So then they go, well, I love that idea. Let's do American Graffiti.
And Andy Griffith.
Right.
In fact, yeah.
So then because of the success of American Graffiti, they went, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that pilot. It'll be huge, right?
Yeah.
So there's just this weird little collaboration there.
Yeah.
That everybody's like, well, we all kind of stole it.
It was born out of this thing that really wasn't ever ever gonna happen, and then one led to the other.
Oh, people like nostalgia for the 60s?
Huh. Yeah.
Run it.
All right,
Run it.
fine.
Run
Let's
that
go.
shit. Let's
Fine.
go.
Get him a jacket. Let's do this.
Let's flip and do it.
Well, let's finish this. So scene 5, after leaving the Pharaohs, Kurt drives to the radio station to chat with Wolfman Jack about getting a message out to the blonde and the white T-Bird. After taking Carol home, John is found by Bob Falfa and they agree to race. John takes the lead, but Bob's tires blow out, swerving into a ditch, rolling over before bursting in flames. Steve, aware that Lori was Bob's passenger, rushes to the wreck as she and Bob crawl out and stagger away before the car explodes. Steve stays in Modesto, and Kurt, after talking to the blonde on the phone, gets on his plane to head to college.
Could we take not to jump ahead or anything, but you got to really think about back in this day, and they talk about drag racing and street racing and all that stuff, right? And
Nas.
It's not Nas, bro. Like, oh, dude, 10-second car, bro. Corona. Family. The only thing, the thing you got to remember is like the street racing and whatnot back then. It's not like 2000. It's not like Fast and the Furious where they've got power steering and all this it's like these were like hulking cars.
These cars were heavy.
That you were driving around that were souped up with big engines, and then taking a step beyond that and powering these vehicles. And these things were tough to hang on to. You know what I mean? It's not like the power steering that's helping you keep this line. This thing could take you one way or the other at any point in time. And that's what I thought was so interesting about this, and why, they talk about Milner. Nobody can beat Milner, man. Like, Milner's, he's got it. Like, he's the fastest there ever will be in this town, And this Bob Falfa guy, who's probably got a more powerful car.
Sounds like it.
He doesn't.
The way it sounds. Jesus Christ.
Like, he doesn't. It's like he came into town just to show up Milner, and it's kind of a scary thought of him, these cars racing around town like that.
Yeah.
I mean it could take anybody out.
These things weigh how much, like especially back then, speaking of Fast and Furious, they built those cars out of plastic pretty much.
Yeah.
Wherever they could. And then these cars were just all fucking huge metal parts everywhere,
Yeah.
And then I know that G. Lucas was some of his inspiration. He was like a big car guy. Like he was, I think he said he was like basically all four of these characters at one point.
He
in his
was
life.
like a street racer at one
Yeah,
point.
so
the only
he-
one he really didn't identify was Steve, which makes sense because Steve's a piece of shit.
Steve sucks,
So-
right?
Got it.
G. Lucas.
Well,
I like him. I like him. But like he actually like wrapped his car as a kid around a tree one time. Like, and there's like, it was in the paper. You can see it in the making of this movie. Whereas that car looks like nobody should have crawled out of there, And yeah, he did, and he made this movie.
well,
Thank you.
nobody should have Paul walked out of that car.
Oh
He
my
did,
God.
Jesus. Okay.
What?
What?
Did you say Paul walked out of the car?
No.
You
Oh
heard
my
him.
God, dude. What did you just say? What did you just say,
Hey,
Mike?
so Wolfman Jack. I want to talk about the scene with Wolfman Jack. I was like, what did he say? Anyway, I like this scene a lot. How do you
Man,
feel about this Wolfman
Wrap
Jack?
that
scene?
Harrison Ford. Never mind.
I love
Jesus. Sonny Bono'd himself. Jesus
you?
Christ.
I love
Man.
Wolfman Jack. He looked when I watched this, he looked like I've seen him in other movies before, and I know he's been in like other movies, like on
I think
camera.
this was
I guess
his first thing, maybe?
Yeah, I think you're right. But like, he like George Lucas just asked him to do this, and he was flattered. Like he read the script, he's like, "Oh my God, yeah, I'll be there."
That's great. I'm
And
God.
I think he's great. in
I'm
this.
God.
Yeah, I'm God in this movie. Per the script, I am the fucking man.
I am the Lord.
I think it's great.
I think it is great.
I also heard that Wolfman Jack, like in honor of getting the role, like Lucas gave him points on the movie.
Yeah.
I guess, and which
Like
apparently,
a fraction of a point.
which basically like set him for life.
Yeah.
After this movie came out.
Well, you got to think. So, we're here near the end of the movie and whatnot, but so much of this movie, like the budget was just so small. Like we talked about in the beginning, like the budget was just so small. Like they couldn't pay a lot of people.
And he was super famous, so
and
he
he was-
should have been paid.
He should have been paid for this, but a lot of the crew didn't get paid. They got basically rewarded with a credit in the movie like to some degree, and it sounds like this is kind of the start of that.
Yeah.
It's like where the entire crew is really getting recognized in these end credits, where it used to be the actors, the directors, the producers, and like the department heads.
Department heads, right?
But now they gave this long credit to all the people that honestly didn't get paid in making of this movie.
There will be no money.
That was all the
But when you
compensation they
die,
got.
Your kids will go, my dad was in a movie.
And he was in the movie that Wolfman Jack was in, who got paid for it.
I'll tell you what I don't like, though. I love the Wolfman Jack thing, and I love that Kurt is trying to reach out to the T-Bird lady. But I don't like that she actually does call. Like, I just, something about that conversation. In fact, I want to go back to your point earlier on where you're like, well, if he would have met her, he would have stayed. I think this phone call makes him leave because he's like, this chick's dumb. She goes, well, hi, I saw you. I love you. Gotta go now. Bye. Like she did.
Wait, what's your name?
It's the dumbest conversation I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. And I think he's just like, yeah, fuck that. I'm out of here. Because I just don't like that. I would have loved for it to be more of a mystery of was she even real? Who knows?
True.
Maybe I'll
what
see
you're
her when I
saying.
come back home. But it's like, I'll be around. I don't know. Okay, bye.
Yeah,
What do you
want
want
to?
What do you want to do tonight?
I don't
I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
I love you.
I love you though.
Girls
Why?
aren't supposed to pay.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. I feel like the phone call to a payphone.
I would have been prank phone calling that.
Right.
phone
That's
all
why
night
I
long.
liked where he was like, "Is this actually you?" I was like, because I would be like, I'd be calling that fucking number.
He's probably
over
answered
and
it
over
100
again.
times already.
Yeah.
He's like, God damn it.
It's just like Milner's on the other on the other foot. It's like shut.
Hi.
Hey, are you the
It's-
T-Bird lady?
Yep.
Oh my God!
That's me.
Do you? It's Kurt.
Kurt.
Is this actually you?
Yeah, I love you.
Oh my God! I think I love. Do you want to meet? Do you want to come here?
I want your meat.
Oh my God!
She loves
Can
me.
I?
Yes.
Oh.
Are you okay?
Shut up.
Fuck you, dude.
Oh shit!
I almost died tonight. You weren't there.
And the curtain smacked the carpet.
I can't do it.
Are those other people back? Are you with
Is
somebody?
that Toad?
No. Who?
You sound kind of older, to be honest.
I mean,
You need to take some Mucinex.
You have a cold?
Yeah. That's why I didn't stop earlier.
It's like one of these things that it makes me believe that it wasn't even real. That it's all part of Kurt's imagination.
Wasn't the intro supposed to have like her pulling into the parking lot of Mel's, but no one was there, and it was supposed to be like it was a ghost car or something.
It was like translucent or something like that.
Which is like, no.
You're transparent to a degree, and you're just like, and especially if you would have put that at the very beginning, and Kurt is chasing this, it doesn't make any sense.
I like the car and the plane going down the road.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's a good metaphor.
They're going in the same direction but different.
Yeah,
you know, like they were so close to meeting and they didn't, and maybe they will someday.
Yeah.
You know, like. That's what I love about this movie is the excitement of this moment in time. That being 18 and leaving high school and going to college is like, I look so fond. That's why I like feed these high school movies into my veins, like the graduation movies. Like I love. There's kids in my neighborhood that all just graduated and are leaving for college like this week, and I'm just like, you lucky fuckers.
You lucky bastards.
It's just so
I think
cool.
of so many times if I was in high school and somebody or like I had opportunities to go somewhere and go to college somewhere else or something like that or whatever. If someone gave me an opportunity and I didn't take it, I want to go back in time and smack my face.
Yes.
You know, like you just try it. Just try whatever. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You can always come back. You can always do something else. You
always
know?
can.
And I think it's just it's the perfect kind of send off for him. It's like, go try.
He made the
at
right
least
choice.
go try. You know?
Yeah, it's the way that they have this set up for all these kind of main characters and whatnot it's really interesting to watch. They make it very interesting to watch. They intertwine them very well. You watch ideas switch around, between like Steve and Kurt, staying and going and going and staying. What Toad wants out of life, Milner wants out of life, those kinds of things. I love that these opposites playing against each other. I think it's a really, really, honestly, it's one of the better versions, the best versions of these types of high school movies that you're talking about. Like, of people who just don't know what the fuck they want to do. You know what I mean?
That's that point in life. You just don't know. You think you know everything and you know where you want to go with it, but you just don't know shit.
Yeah. And I think it's even to a degree, not knowing is knowing something, right? The fact that I know I don't know, I think that's a very important take on this movie is that I know that I don't know. So that's the reason why you should go.
Yes.
And go and do something. And I thought that was just a really important take, especially after this car race and what is eventually those end credits. By the way, it's another musical masterpiece moment of all the cars driving out.
Green Onions.
Green Onions.
You cannot go wrong with Green Onions in any sequence of events.
Unbelievable. The moment that song came on, I was immediately sucked back in. Just like, let's go.
Beat him, John. Beat his ass.
Come on, John. You want it so bad for him. And then you see that car roll. And I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen at the end of this. I didn't know that he was going to roll that. I thought John could have gotten beaten. And I thought that both of them in that car could have been hurt. And so, hell of a way to end this movie.
It's the monotony of life with this movie is like all these people roaming around and like driving around looking for something to do, and then like Kurt kind of knowing what he wants to do, and he can take a chance, and then he eventually does, obviously, is a really cool thing. And like, I was just basically like, I guess if you had a car back in the 60s, what you did was drive around, but if you didn't have a car, you just looked for dead bodies like they do in Stand By Me. And like, that's like the, once you grow up and get a car, you start.
Oh, we don't have to look for dead bodies.
Yeah,
anymore.
Thank God.
Exactly. Like that's their ticket to fame, you know? And other than like driving around, seeing if a girl will tell you that she loves you, that's basically the juxtaposition between the two generations.
It's just such a crazy concept that, like, you saw it with everybody in this movie. How many, like, throughout the movie, Bob Falfa has 3 different girls in his car.
Yep.
And it's like you jump in with somebody, and the Milner was doing the same thing.
Yep.
You want to come and ride with me for a while. It's like the world just seems way more promiscuous than it ever led on to be, but also
yes,
not.
but not. Yeah.
But even like the end of it was still somewhat innocent to a degree.
Yeah, it was safe. It was safe to get in someone's car. Who didn't know.
And go ride around and
we'll
drive.
be around. We'll see you. We'll see you in a little while. You can get back out and
It's just such an interesting thing to watch. So.
The race was pretty cool. I one cool tidbit. I love the movie Two Lane Blacktop, and apparently Falfa's car is the car from Two Lane Blacktop that they used. I love that movie. Really cool car movie.
Yeah.
Harkening back to Duel. But we have said before that we are fans of the where they went kind of thing.
Well, I was going to ask you, what did we say on Dazed and Confused? Did we say we wanted it? Like, because it doesn't have it in Dazed and Confused. Didn't we want that?
Yes. I remember distinctly us wanting
us going, man, wouldn't it be cool if they did that? I don't
need. To me personally, maybe you guys said that, and that's totally cool. I don't.
No, you said
Sean's changing his mind now.
No, Shaun was like, that'd be really cool.
I'm a flip flopper.
Go back and tell us who was right and who's wrong.
I don't really need that, and in fact, I don't really want that, especially in this movie because it's just like they all died, or wish they had, except Kurt. That's basically it,
dude. This is terrifying. Like, this is a terrible end to this movie.
This is. Let me say this, because this ending means the moment that you see this part of the movie, you can now never watch the movie the same way again.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It doesn't end well for anybody except Kurt.
Like,
well, even
like,
Kurt
stop.
wanted to be a presidential advisor. Like, he wanted to do all this crazy stuff, and he's just an author in Canada.
True.
You know, so in theory, everything went so badly for these people. And then they have the audacity to not even tell us what the women did.
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck?
Is Steve with Lori? Is Lori with Steve? Do we even fucking
what happened
care?
to Debbie? Like what happened to Carol? Why these are main characters of this movie?
Yeah.
What happened?
There was a big thing about that. There was kind of a big stink about that. And George Lucas's, I'll call it an excuse. His excuse was, well, I didn't want to add another a text frame to the movie.
Yeah, thanks.
You didn't want to give more closure to your movie that you just spent making? You spent all this time making?
Yeah.
That's what you decided? I don't know. I would have loved to have that because I love to hear those things and see those things. I don't know. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I'm a big fan of the end credits, so I really wanted to get to the end credits.
I wanted the end credits so I could show all the people that I wanted to, that I couldn't pay for my movie.
Yeah.
I got all these people to work for free on my movie.
Why would I?
Credit.
Why would I put an end screen for the women? We all know they're just going to be homemakers.
They're just gonna be.
We already know what happened to them.
It's early '60s logic.
Well, they're just gonna go and punch out some kids. I mean, that's just all they're gonna do.
They're going to finally do it.
What are they gonna go get an education somewhere?
It's not
I
like
don't
Can't
think
work
so.
a job.
women can't do things in this country.
We're not maligning
Satire.
G. Lucas.
Satire.
Take a breath, everybody. We got through it, all right? Take a breath.
Oh man.
This is a patriarchy. I'm George Lucas.
Well, you boys got anything else you want to talk about on this one?
I just want to say, like, you know, the end credits, it is something that makes you unable to watch this movie the same way, and you see that, and let's run down the line, right? I think it starts as about as sad as it gets, as it could be. John Milner was killed in a car crash. A drunk driver 2 years later. Terry MIA in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right? And then you also have, honestly, that Steve
might
didn't
have the
do
worst fate.
Steve didn't go.
Insurance salesman.
Steve made the worst choice of his life to stay home, and now sells insurance.
And that's the thing. Like, he just stayed in his town, and he got a job. Like, that's what he did. Instead
He didn't
of
try.
He
didn't
said next
go and
year
do.
I'll go.
Right. So he never.
Nope.
we have to assume that he never made it out. Not even that he went and tried and then came back.
He wasn't able to get to a school to be like, one college, please.
Yep, that's right.
So the college never even knew.
I'll have one large college, and can I get a side of a side of fun? Okay, he didn't do that, and then you find out that, and this was what I thought was interesting, kind of reading into this a little bit, based on it being the Vietnam War and everything. You read that Kurt is an author or writer in Canada.
I like this.
And you think about that and you say, well, if Kurt did in fact leave and go to the East Coast, let's call it New York,
Okay.
right? That means that if he is now in Canada, he very well could have had his number pulled up for the draft and he dodged. And he went to Canada to be a writer.
Gotcha. That's
Don't
cool.
like any of this.
I know. And so you really think about it, and you like you just said, none of these guys' fates is not necessarily one good, but it's also not what they wanted out of life.
So you kind of like basically what they might be saying is, or what you could read into this is that like literally Vietnam ruined a generation.
It ruined a generation. I think you're 100% correct.
Hopes
in
and
that.
dreams were dashed for
Yeah.
everybody.
Dashed completely. I mean, boy, that just got really dark.
Yeah, you're like, man, nostalgia. Like the end of Dazed and Confused, you're just like,
This rocks.
dude, I
Rock
can't
and
wait
roll,
to see
Smith,
what the
bud.
future
Aerosmith
is
tickets.
for these guys. And this, you're like, oh my god.
See, maybe it's better not knowing.
I
Huh?
agree.
And again, you know what? And you know what? That could also be the point of it too. If he didn't include, but he didn't give this. I'm giving him way more fucking credit than he's
no,
worth.
the cast didn't
No,
even
the-
know
the
that he
women-
was going to do this.
yeah,
I think somebody came in at the end and goes, we should add a postscript.
Yeah.
Or like whatever happens. Like,
And-
so who knows whose idea that was?
Well, the women are just going to stay at home. They aren't going to war or dodging the draft. Thanks, George.
Lori's just nagging her husband at home.
Yeah, come on, Lori. Less nagging and more gagging. Let's
it's
get to
implied
it now.
Lori is the reason
Come
why
on now.
Steve was not successful in life.
How are you going to get yourself a good man if you ain't going to be, come on now.
John Milner was based off of John Milius.
What's that?
Who's that?
He directed Red Dawn.
Cool.
We did that movie.
Wait, he's based off of him?
Yeah, like they got his name and he was inspired.
The name or his actual character?
Kind of like he was kind of a rebel, and John Milius was.
I was
like,
gonna say, I thought
in
he
that
was
group
a-
of directors
I
was.
thought he was kind of a wild
There
guy.
you go.
Kind of inspired.
Like Milner, bro.
Wow.
Loose cannon.
There's
Cannon.
there's that.
Thanks, man.
Well, my friends, we have dissected this movie with a modern eye. We've done it. We've got a Summer of 70s is at an end. We've got to give it our modern day rating. AJ, let's start with you. Tell us your modern day rating of American Graffiti.
Here's what I want to do with this movie, guys. I want to sit down. I want to drink, I don't know, like 4 old fashions and let this movie just overtake me for almost 2 hours. That's literally what I want. And it needs to be a dark room. It needs to be a little chilly. I need that because the only thing warming me up is that Cedar Ridge. And that's what I need. And if I were to watch it that way, I think you'd come out like a different person almost. Because you watch this and you think about this in the idea that these people, it's almost like their last time potentially even seeing each other as far as we know. And we've all had those moments, as Mike has said before. You went out and played with your friends for the last time. And this takes it to that little bit next level of who knows. This may have been the last time that they all were together and did what they were trying to do in a night to get it all done. And we've all had those moments where you overplan and you overextend and you want to do so much more with the time that you have, even if it's just for a few hours, and you try so hard to pack it all in, but either you're too tired or it just doesn't go your way. And this movie does a really great job of encapsulating that idea. And I think it's a much more emotional movie than has ever really led on. And I think the older you get, the more you look back on this and being like, yeah, like you got to go and do what you need to do. Especially with the overarching idea of the impending Vietnam War that, like you said, Shaun, ruined and wrecked a generation of people. Completely changed the face of our planet, at that time. So I do think it's really great. Cast is wonderful. It's I love the way that it's put together. It's a movie that makes you think that you want to go out and make a movie just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and give this movie an 8.6.
8.6 for the age. Shaun, what about you, man?
You know when you like listen to a song and it takes you back to a time, like say in high school, it takes you back to a certain night in high school maybe that you and your friends were listening to this song and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, and you listen to the song fully and all this nostalgia comes rushing back in, and you feel really good for like the duration of the song.
Yeah.
And then once it's over, you're like, yeah, but I'm older now.
Yep.
And that was then and this is now, you know. It's always good to like revisit that kind of thing, and that's what nostalgia is, obviously. But this movie's fantastic, man. It's pretty spectacularly done. As far as the lighting and stuff, like it's still like a gripe of mine that I might have to get over. But as far as like the vibe and the storytelling, it's a really great script. I like all these characters. I love all these characters. I am okay with Steve. And the way that it's made, like Haxel Wexler pitching in on the lighting, and then Walter Murch doing the sound, it's like that just weirded me out. But it was super cool to find out. Yeah, I could watch this movie whenever. Man, I'm gonna. It's tough. It's a tough one.
It's tough. It's tough.
I'm gonna go 7.998. 7.98. Sorry.
Oh no, I got 7.998. We're leaving it the way it was. Yeah, man, I'm so glad that I was able to get you guys to watch this movie because it you know, we've talked about it before. Inject high school movies into my veins.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, especially that end of high school career.
Yeah.
I think back on if I had made a decision to not go to college, the things I would have missed out on. Like, I'm not saying like going to college is what you should do. I'm just saying in my life, me leaving my town, not going the community college route, just going like, I'm going and I'm going to meet new people and I'm going to just see what happens. It changed me. It changed who I am. It made me who I am today. And so I love seeing that happen in this movie. The one thing I really like about this movie is that it tells us that, you know, nostalgia's been around forever. We're always like, man, the 90s were so much, if we could only go back to simpler times. But in the 2000s, we were like, man, the 80s. And in this movie, John Milner's like, man, it's just not the same as it used to be. We're looking back at this movie being like, wow.
Rock and roll has never been the same since Buddy Holly.
See, and the strip's just getting smaller and smaller in this town. We are always looking back and just going, When in reality, it's like we're here where we are. Like, let's just do it. Someone will look back on 2023 and be like, "Fuck, that was such a tight year," and we're just like, "I hate it."
Yeah.
You know. So like, live in the moment. You add the soundtrack to this movie, man. I'm at straight up 8 on this one.
Nice.
I love it. Executive producer Bud Larsen says, "I can't believe I've never seen this before. I was able to watch it on Netflix. The movie starts out like most by introducing the cast at a main meeting point. Whoa, all these classic cars are amazing. Obviously, it takes place in the 60s, so these cars were probably everywhere. It would be like a movie nowadays taking place in 2010 and seeing Chevy Impalas, Dodge Chargers, and Ford Mustangs everywhere. No big deal. The guys did pretty much what my friends and I did by cruising up and down the strip. I don't know about you guys, but when I graduated high school, I wouldn't have gone back to a dance at the school. I agree with you. My wife and I recently watched the new Indiana Jones movie. The CGI for Harrison Ford was not even close to what he looks like in this movie. I like.
I didn't think about
very
that.
true.
Oh, man.
They should have just taken him from this movie. I like the banter between Milner and Bob, each talking shit about the other guy's car. The drag race at the end of the movie was okay. At least it didn't take 2 minutes like it did in the Fast and the Furious. Great ending to the race where the car explodes. I wish they would have told us who the blonde is before the end of the movie. This was a good movie. I would watch it again. Prop from the movie would be Toad's white Vespa that he crashed into the wall at the drive-in when he's introduced.
Well done.
Punchable face, Steve. He tells Lori he wants to see other people while he's away at college and can't understand why she's so upset at him the rest of the night.
4 punches.
Four
Straight
punches.
to the face.
We're adults now.
Modern day rating 7.2. That takes us to a 7.95, my friends. So
Wow.
Nice.
on the grand scheme of things, a 7.95. It's going to get us pretty high up there. That's going to take it into 35th place. That is
Wow.
right below Beetlejuice, right above The Matrix is where we have that.
Wow.
Better than The Matrix.
Can you believe that?
Whoa.
Oh no!
You want to know where you, somebody must have fucked up on Matrix. Let's find out who did that.
Somebody fucked up.
Somebody fucked up. We got to go check it out real quick. The Matrix. Let's see. I like being able to go back to be like, really?
Who did
so,
this?
Okay, so Matrix. Oh wow. Okay, so Shaun 9.5.
Fuck yeah, dude.
AJ 7.3. Mike 7. So like
you kind of fucked up.
You idiots.
we were like, it's good, but it's kind of outdated now.
Oh yeah, it just doesn't quite hold up the way that I kind of wanted it to be. That's just fine.
Not enough sex.
They should have probably had more tits in it.
There's no tits.
Oh man.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the episode, everybody. Summer of 70s is over. Thank you for enjoying it with us. We are coming right out of the gates. We're going to Tombstone, followed by Airplane.
70s to 90s to 80s.
You better be ready to roll. And if you are new to the podcast, go back this time last year. American Pie.
Come on now.
High school.
America.
Enjoy yourself.
America.
Well, appreciate that.
Well,
guys, we're going to be moving on. We can't wait. Thank you for joining us for 70s, Summer of 70s.
Summer 70s is over.
It's all done, guys, but we got plenty more on the road, on the way. We're cruising, guys. Thank you for listening. Check us out on social media. It's just at Confused Breakfast anywhere. Just search for Confused Breakfast. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. We really do appreciate it. Whenever you write us a nice little comment on there, it makes our day getting to read it throughout the day that we're just not here podcasting for you. By all means, we really do appreciate it. You're checking us out on YouTube. YouTube.
ConfusedBreakfast.com. You can check out our merch store. I believe you can buy facts, kind of like the one I didn't say in the movie that I thought was really cool. How George Lucas filmed the parallel car scenes. He actually filmed them at the same time. He had two cameras facing each of the cars. So that's cool. You can get those kind of tidbits at our website. Also, you can see our ratings of every movie we've ever done. You can see our individual ratings, and you can see the ratings that we have done as a show.
Sponsor this podcast by joining us at patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. You get tons of perks. You can really help us out and get a bunch of extra stuff for it. We are produced by Upload Media Group in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We got Craig on the controls.
Craig.
And we are part of the Cloud 10 iHeart Podcast Network. Learn more at cloud10.fm. That's it for us. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, baby. Oh, I love you so. 16 candles? Ugh.
Mr. President.
Only 16.
Ugh, 16 candles?
Craig.
Christine.
Craig, pull that up.
16.
I always thought
Craig,
that
pull
16
it up.
candles was about like a dad singing it to his daughter. Like, congratulations.
16
you're becoming a woman.
I really don't
candles.
think that's what they were going for.
Earth angel.